I remember the exact moment everything changed. It was 10 days before our wedding, and I was standing in the middle of our apartment surrounded by ribbons, invitation envelopes, and the scent of vanilla-scented candles I'd bought for the centerpieces. My mom had just texted me a picture of her dress for the ceremony. My best friend had finalized our playlist. Everything felt like it was finally falling into place. And then Jake's phone rang. It was his mother, Patricia. I watched his face while he answered, saw the lines around his eyes pull tight like they always did when she called. At first, it was the usual, a quiet "Hey, Mom," followed by some nodding, vague murmurs. But then his shoulders stiffened. His expression darkened. "What? Are you sure? Oh my God, should I call someone?" He was pacing now, hand gripping the back of a dining chair like it was the only thing holding him up. "Okay. I'll tell her. We'll figure it out." When he hung up, his face was pale. His voice, quiet. "It's my mom. She said she had chest pain. She was home alone and she thinks she's having a heart attack." I dropped the stack of RSVP cards I'd been sorting. "Did she call an ambulance?" "She said she didn't want to scare anyone. She wanted to tell me first." That didn't sit right. But I said nothing. Not then. Jake was already grabbing his keys, rambling about needing to get to Indiana right away. I offered to come with him, but he told me no, insisted I stay here, keep working on the wedding. "She said she doesn't want you to worry. Just wants me there." So he left, and I sat on the couch, alone, shaking. I kept checking my phone. No hospital updates. No ambulance confirmation. Just a few texts from Jake the next day saying she's okay and they're running tests. That was it. 3 days passed. Then a photo popped up on my Facebook timeline. Patricia. At a local farmer's market. Laughing with her friend Sheila. No oxygen mask. No hospital gown. No 4-pull. She looked radiant. Healthy. Like someone who had never uttered the words chest pain in her life. I stared at the image for a long, long time. My hands went cold. Not just because she'd lied, but because Jake believed her. I called her the next day, keeping my tone sweet, calm. "Oh, sweetheart," she said, the fake weakness in her voice dripping through the phone. "It's been a hard week." "I'm so sorry to hear that," I said. "What did the doctor say?" A pause. "Oh, you know, stress. Fatigue. Hormones. It's all very complicated." I don't remember what I said after that. Just that I hung up and stared at the wall for 10 straight minutes. Then I pulled out my laptop. Started digging. Dates. Photos. Local event listings. Patricia had attended 2 garden luncheons and a friend's spa day the same week she was supposedly bedridden. Jake returned 2 days later. He looked drained. Said he needed to sleep. I didn't bring it up. Not yet. Because I already knew. This wasn't about her health. It was about control. And I had a sinking feeling this was just the beginning. By the time Jake came back from Indiana, something had shifted in him. He wasn't the same. Not just tired, detached. Like someone had replaced the version of him who used to giggle with me at 2 a.m. while folding laundry or text me bad puns during meetings. He barely looked at the flower arrangements I'd spent hours obsessing over. Shrugged when I asked about his suit fitting. And every time I mentioned the wedding, his response was some form of "let's not rush." Rush? We were 9 days out. Then, Patricia started calling again. Every night. Jake would slip into the bedroom with his phone pressed to his ear, close the door, and whisper. And I started to wonder, what exactly did she say to him while he was there? The real answer came 2 days later when I found the envelope. It was tucked under a stack of mail on our kitchen counter, probably meant to be hidden. I was cleaning up and sorting wedding RSVP returns when I noticed a plain manila folder marked in red pen, "Prenup documents." My breath caught. We hadn't talked about a prenup. Jake had always said, "What's mine is yours." But inside was a stack of papers, already signed by him. And at the bottom? A note in Patricia's perfect cursive. "Just in case. Love you forever, baby boy." Mom. There was a clause in the agreement. If our marriage ended within the first year, Jake would retain all premarital assets. Including our joint condo, which I had paid more than half for. And worse? The clause also gave emergency decision-making rights to his next of kin. Not me. Her. I didn't even cry. I just sat at the kitchen table, staring at that stupid little heart she'd drawn at the bottom of the note like this was a Valentine's Day card. I made one phone call. My cousin Jenna, she's a contract lawyer. I emailed her the documents. She called me back within 20 minutes. "Did you agree to this?" she asked. "No," I said. I've never even seen it. Then it's not legal. Not without your signature. She paused. But it means he's preparing for you to leave. Or for this to end. Or, worse, for him to end it and keep everything. My stomach twisted. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I told Jake I wanted to go visit my mom in Michigan for the weekend. He didn't even ask why. I took the folder with me. At my mom's kitchen table, with Jenna sitting across from me and my mom quietly sipping coffee beside us, I told them everything. About Patricia. The fake heart scare. The phone calls. The mood change. The prenup. The silence. My mom listened. Quiet. But she had that look in her eyes she gets when someone has deeply underestimated her daughter. Jenna leaned forward. You don't need to cancel this wedding, she said. You need to expose them. How? Jenna grinned. And that's when the plan began. We started simple. While I was away, Patricia texted Jake. I had asked him to water the plants while I was gone, so he stopped by the apartment. I knew he would. Which is why I had quietly installed a camera, one of those hidden nanny cams that looks like a photo frame. Just for safety, I told myself. The footage showed him making a call the second he walked in. To Patricia. And I heard it all. She's at her mom's, Jake said. Good, Patricia replied. That gives us time to move forward with the post-wedding agreement. I'll handle the lawyer. You just make sure she signs the updated papers after the honeymoon. Jake said nothing. Then, she added, don't forget, if she doesn't sign, you always have that email. I paused the video. Email? What email? It took me 2 days to find it. I knew Jake's passwords, he never changed them. One late night, I logged into his email from my mom's iPad. Searched Patricia. Then prenup. Then wedding. Finally, I searched insurance. And there it was. An attachment, forwarded from Patricia's lawyer. With a chilling subject line. Backup leverage, hospital record issue. The file contained a doctored hospital bill. It claimed I had been previously treated for a psychiatric episode in my early 20s, a complete fabrication. And in the body of the email, Patricia had written, this should be enough to question her mental competence if she refuses to sign. I sat there, staring at the screen. Numb. They were planning to trap me. If I pushed back after the wedding, they'd claim I was unstable. That Jake needed to take full control of our assets. My life. My future. But what Patricia didn't know. I already had everything. The fake illness. The prenup. The audio from her call. And soon, I'd have something else. Because Patricia had faked a health scare. And what she didn't realize was, in this state, that's fraud. I never wanted to be the kind of woman who saw her wedding day as a battlefield. But when you find out your fiancé and his mother are conspiring to steal your future out from under you, you stop being a bride and start being a soldier. By the time I came back from Michigan, I was ready. Not just angry, prepared. I had the folder with the forged hospital record. The prenup Jake signed without telling me. The audio of his conversation with Patricia. The camera footage. The emails. Everything. I didn't confront him. Not yet. I let the wedding countdown continue. I smiled when people asked about my dress. I sent thank you notes for early gifts. I even let Jake believe I was planning to walk down that aisle. But behind the scenes, I was doing something else entirely. I sent the documents to an attorney I'd met through Jenna. A shark of a woman named Talia, who practically growled when she read the emails. Do you want to go nuclear? She asked. I didn't hesitate. I want them to feel what it's like to lose control. And then I made a few final moves. I canceled the wedding. Not the party. Not the venue. Just the marriage license. Quietly. Legally. Without telling Jake. I paid the photographer double to stay, but with new instructions. No wedding photos. Only candids. Reactions. Faces. And I hired a court officer to serve Patricia, on the day of the wedding. Because if she wanted drama, I was going to give her a front row seat. The wedding day was flawless, at first. Sunny skies. Beautiful floral arches. Guests seated in rows, smiling, sipping champagne. Jake was waiting at the altar, pale and fidgety. Patricia sat in the front row, wearing a lavender suit and a smug smile, like she'd already won. They thought they were watching a bride walk toward forever. Instead, they watched me walk up, stand in front of everyone, take the mic from the officiant, and tell the truth. Not all of it. Just enough. Thank you all for being here, I said, voice calm and clear. Some of you are here because you love us. Some because you support us. And some, I looked directly at Patricia, because you wanted to see a performance. I paused. There won't be a wedding today. Because there's already been a betrayal. A ripple of murmur spread across the guests. Jake stepped forward, face pale. What are you doing? I'm stopping this, I said. Then I held up the folder. I have evidence, emails, calls, signed documents, that prove this entire engagement was a setup. Patricia faked a medical emergency to delay our wedding. She forged a psychiatric record to use as blackmail. And Jake, I turned to him, you signed a prenup behind my back, with clauses that would have stripped me of everything I worked for. Gasps. Jake opened his mouth to speak, but the silence swallowed him whole. You were going to trap me, I continued. And I want everyone here to know, you failed. Right then, the court officer walked down the aisle. Calm, precise, paper in hand. He stopped in front of Patricia. Patricia Monroe, he said, you are being served for conspiracy to commit fraud, document forgery, and defamation of character. The silence exploded into chaos. Patricia's mouth dropped open. She grabbed her pearl necklace like it might save her. This is absurd. This is harassment. No, Patricia, I said, stepping closer. This is justice. Jake looked at me like he didn't even recognize who I was. He was right. The version of me who begged for his attention? Gone. The one who tried to play nice with his mother, who bit her tongue and shrank herself into someone she thought they'd accept. Dead. I handed the mic back to the stunned officiant. I won't be getting married today, I said. But I will be celebrating. Then I turned to the crowd. There's food. There's wine. There's music. If you came to dance, stay. If you came to gloat, you can leave. And I walked off that altar without a backward glance. The venue staff said they'd never seen anything like it. Half the guests stayed. Half left in shock, murmuring into their champagne flutes like they'd just witnessed a soap opera unfold in real life. And honestly? They had. I didn't change out of my dress. I didn't wipe off my lipstick or fix the slight smear in my mascara. I wore that day, smudged dignity and all, with a kind of twisted pride. Because I may not have gotten married, but I walked away whole, clean. Jake disappeared the moment I dropped the mic. Not just slipped out quietly, vanished. One of his groomsmen told me later he took his car and peeled out of the parking lot like he was escaping a crime scene. Patricia? She tried to argue with the officer who served her, started sobbing halfway through her tantrum, and then fainted, dramatically, right on the grass beside the peony arrangements. No one clapped. No one helped her. Even her sister stood there shaking her head. By the time the venue cleared out and the DJ started spinning feel-good breakup anthems, yes, I requested a playlist change. I was dancing barefoot in the middle of the dance floor with my best friend Callie, eating wedding cake directly off a paper plate. It wasn't what I planned. It was better. But I wasn't done yet. The next day, Jake showed up at my door. Hair a mess. Tie askew. Eyes red. Holding his phone like it was proof of something, like whatever was on it would save him. I didn't even flinch when I saw him. Just opened the door and leaned against the frame. You humiliated me, he said. I laughed. Oh, you're humiliated? Jake, your mother forged a medical scare. Then a legal document. Then an entire backstory for me that included psychiatric hospitalization. And you helped her. He tried to interrupt, but I raised my hand. You signed that prenup. You stood by while she plotted to trap me. And you said nothing. Jake's face cracked. I didn't know she'd go that far. I stepped closer. Then you weren't paying attention. Or you didn't care. He swallowed hard. I panicked. I thought, if I didn't sign, she'd cut me off. And you let her cut me out instead. Silence. Then, the real Jake surfaced. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded paper. I talked to the lawyer. I had the prenup voided. It wasn't valid without your consent anyway, but I wanted you to know I undid it. I didn't even reach for it. Too late, I said. He looked stunned. Like he truly believed fixing one mistake would undo the betrayal of 100 quiet nods. 1,000 complicit silences. I let the words settle between us like dust. You didn't lose me because of a document, Jake. You lost me because when it mattered, you let someone else do the thinking for you. You stood by while I was being erased. You heard the plan, and you still put on your tux. I loved you, he whispered. No, I said gently. You loved the version of me who didn't ask questions. He stayed there, standing on my porch like a man who had nothing left, and I let the door close slowly between us. But the story didn't end with a closed door. Because Patricia's world started unraveling the moment those papers were served. Talia had filed official charges, fraud and defamation. The hospital issued a statement confirming the record Patricia used had never existed in their system. And the forged document? Easily traced back to her email metadata. Jake's family tried to do damage control. His older brother, a real estate agent, called me and asked if I'd consider dropping the legal stuff to keep things civil. Civil? I sent him a copy of Patricia's fake psych report, with a note written in red ink. Civility ended the moment your mother tried to erase my identity. 3 days later, Patricia's lawyer reached out with a settlement offer. Not because she wanted to take responsibility, but because she knew I had enough to bury her in legal fees alone. I declined. Because I didn't want her money. I wanted the record. A public one. I didn't wear black to the hearing, like everyone expected me to. I wore white. Not a bridal white. Not some poetic metaphor. Just a crisp white pantsuit, tailored, structured, clean. I wanted her to see it. I wanted Patricia to look me in the face and realize I hadn't crumbled. I'd rebuilt. She walked into the courtroom looking exactly how I imagined, dark sunglasses, a silk scarf wrapped around her head like she was being hounded by paparazzi. Her lawyer stood beside her like he regretted every life choice that led him to this job. Jake wasn't there. He didn't show. And in some twisted way, I was glad. Because this wasn't his reckoning anymore. This was hers. Mine. The court session itself wasn't long, these preliminary fraud hearings rarely are. But the evidence? That part sang. Talia presented everything like a conductor leading a symphony of receipts. The doctored hospital record. The email metadata showing Patricia sent it to Jake and to her lawyer with the subject line, just in case she gets difficult. The audio of her telling Jake to use it if she steps out of line. And the big one? The video. The nanny cam footage of Jake in our apartment, pacing and holding his phone, saying, "She's at her mom's. You have time to finalize everything. Just make sure it looks real." Patricia didn't say a word during the whole thing. Not even when the judge asked if she had anything to say. Her lawyer, sweating, requested a recess and whispered something in her ear. She shook her head. And then she finally spoke. "I just wanted to protect my son." The words were soft. Pathetic, even. But they still made something in me snap. I stood. "Your son is a grown man," I said. "And you didn't want to protect him. You wanted to own him. You lied. You faked illness. You forged documents. You tried to destroy my reputation because I wasn't obedient enough to fit into the fantasy you built around him." The judge didn't stop me. He let me talk. "You thought I'd be scared. That I'd just go along quietly, grateful to marry into your family. But I don't belong to you. I never did. And you'll never own someone like me again." Patricia didn't meet my eyes. She didn't have to. Because I already knew I'd won. The court scheduled a formal trial, but she settled before it ever got there. Her lawyer drafted a public apology, one she had to read aloud in front of a notary, and I made sure it included every specific word I wanted. I fabricated documents. I attempted to manipulate legal proceedings. I falsely implied my future daughter-in-law was mentally unwell to control her marriage to my son. I deeply regret these actions. And then I posted the video. It went viral. Not because I wanted fame, but because I wanted clarity. For every woman who's been gaslit, silenced, or made to feel like keeping the peace means sacrificing her dignity. And Jake? He sent one final message. A voice memo. I played it once. "I'm sorry. I really thought I was doing the right thing. I see now that I became exactly like her. I don't blame you for leaving. I just hope someday you'll believe I didn't mean to hurt you." I deleted it. Because here's the thing about meaning to hurt someone, you don't always have to mean it to do it. It's been 7 months now. I moved out of that apartment, started over in a new city. I redecorated a place that's mine, every throw pillow and light fixture chosen with no one else's opinion in the room. I even went on a date, solo. Just me, a good book, and a glass of wine at a rooftop bar in Boston. And I'm happy. Not perfect. Not tied up with a bow. Just honest. And free. They tried to destroy me with manipulation, lies, and legal traps. But they underestimated the power of someone who's been cornered one too many times and decides, never again. I didn't just walk away. I walked through fire. And came out holding the matches.